This is your spoiler warning. If you don't want 2024's Borderlands or Deadpool and Wolverine spoiled, stop consuming this content. Hello and welcome to Badaptation, where we watch and talk about every theatrically released video game adaptation, their sequels, tie-ins, and whatever else we fancy. I'm your host, Finn, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, the buff film buff Guy.
Hello.
This week we're covering the latest Badaptation that hit the big screen, Borderlands, directed by Eli Roth. So we already had the spoiler warning. This movie was fucking shit, wasn't it?
It certainly was not a good film, by any stretch of the imagination.
Right, now that we got that out of the way, that's what everybody else has covered. This movie sucks and has bombed big time. Fucking awful, wouldn't recommend it. But what about the games?
Well, the games, are really quite good from what I understand.
Have you played them?
Yeah, from my limited playing of them, and I only played them just very sporadically co-op with my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
I was like, this is super fun. Mm-hmm. This is like interesting. This world is cool. It's kind of like a sort of more manic multiplayer Fallout.
Yeah.
Which kind of encourages like more of the shoot 'em up style, as opposed to like you can't play this like a role playing game or at least if you consider it a role playing game, not one where you can kind of stop and strategize and all that sort of thing. It's just constant go. You're in the thick of it with all these enemies. You got to get the fuck out of there, or you got to kill them all, sort of thing.
Yep. It popularized the term looter shooter.
There we go.
Which I thought was a really I really liked playing it back in the day, back when I was playing Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2. Again, kind of couch co-op with my brother or with a friend or something like that. You shoot stuff in the hopes of getting good stuff to shoot better with.
Yes.
And that cycle continues.
And it also should be noted that, like, although obviously probably there wasn't such a focus on story, there was a story with all of these games.
Yeah.
And the characters were, at least what I remember of it, like really funny and entertaining, and like kind of part of like the mythology they created was made the game more interesting to play.
Yeah.
As I recall.
Yeah, it wasn't just gameplay.
Yeah.
At first. So like I remember the humor at the time was kind of like a little bit like revolutionary for games in terms of like it brought that style of humor to this mainstream game. And I think just went, hey, what if Ryan Reynolds was every character in this game? Like the big one that stands out to me is like there's a character in Borderlands 1. He's kind of the first boss, and his name is Nine Toes.
Yeah.
He's got 9 toes and 3 balls, and he does a crotch chop.
Genius.
See, because it's his balls.
Yeah.
And there's more than what should be there.
Yeah.
And he points at them, and it's kind of like a joke.
Yeah.
That like epitomized what it
Borderlands.
was. Yeah.
And that was the humor of Borderlands in a nutshell.
It was a little bit more of the humor of the time.
Yeah.
And, some things have evolved and
some things haven't.
And Borderlands 3 was one of the monthly games on PlayStation Plus. So I thought, I'm already paying for that. So I'll give it a go. And I didn't really enjoy it that much.
When did Borderlands 3 come out originally?
I don't know, sorry. I think maybe 2017?
I feel like that might be the one that I played. I only played one of them.
Right. The definite favorite is Borderlands 2.
Okay.
And one of the least favorites is Borderlands 3. So, of course, that's the one that they offer up for free.
For free,
just it's an overwhelming amount of numbers just being thrown at you.
Yeah.
And the loot is just, hey, pick up this gun. It's got 9 different types of statistics attached to it. You pick up another one. Let's compare all 9 of those. And then, replace that and go on to the next thing so you can find a better gun to do the same thing. And then you find a better gun and then you can do probably the same thing, I reckon. I did just get the idea, like, as I was playing it, of like, this would be way more fun with a friend, like how I used to play it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if a game is way more fun with a friend, is that not just most games? Having fun with a friend does just kind of tend to increase the enjoyment of a lot of things. Because even if it's bad, you get to enjoy how bad it is with someone instead of just being there alone having a bad time.
Well, sadly, we didn't go see Borderlands together.
No.
The movie. We did not co-op the movie.
No, see, I went with someone, and that one someone was the one other person who had purchased a ticket for that time.
Yep.
There was one other person in my theater.
Mm.
And then later on, I 2 days later watched Deadpool versus Wolverine, which, to be fair, was a weekend day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there was about 50, 60 people in that theater.
Was that a full theater?
Not quite full, but
close.
A lot more full, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, the movie.
The movie has come out.
It has come out.
It has been released.
And I do have a brief synopsis for you.
Great.
So Lilith is a bounty hunter who must rescue the kidnapped daughter of a tech billionaire. But everything is not as it seems. The kidnapper, well, he's the good guy. The daughter, well, she's not a helpless little girl. She's actually an insufferable little brat who also likes explosions. But girls aren't supposed to. And the tech billionaire, he's the bad guy? God, how disconnected from reality is this movie? And there are a few other recognizable characters from the Borderlands franchise assemble to form this ragtag bunch of misfits to rip off Guardians of the Galaxy very poorly, even worse than the sequels to that movie did. Every character in this movie is awful, but to its credit, Kevin Hart wasn't as annoying as I thought he'd be.
He was the straight man in this film, which we should get into, but that was one of the most bizarre choices of every bizarre choice in this film.
Yeah.
The most bizarre choice for me was you get Kevin Hart, who...
Mm-hmm. What are his strengths, guy?
Yes,
what are his strengths?
Well, and you know, depending whether you like Kevin Hart or not, ultimately, what brought him to the dance is his comedic chops, his ability to be funny, his ability to make jokes and do one-liners, and as a persona, even as a Kevin Hart brand, whatever way you want to spin it, that's what he does.
Yes.
And for some reason, in this film, they banned him from making any joke at all.
Pretty much.
For the whole film.
Yep.
So you essentially hire Kevin Hart and go, look, whatever you do, don't bring your natural charisma, don't bring the thing that makes you stand out, the thing that people love you for.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Can you please turn it down to 11 out of 100?
Exactly. Like, do absolutely nothing. And it's just a weird choice, you know, of you just cast him to be funny.
Or
don't cast him. But either or, the choice to sort of go, hey, you know, and I do wonder, I do like have a sort of a theory in the tickling at the back of my mind, which was essentially that Kevin Hart is sick of doing Kevin Hart. And I mean that as in he's like, he wants to be, is more of a serious, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating, but as in he's like, look, I'll sign on to this movie, but I'm not doing my regular shtick. I will do this, but not my shtick. So just understand that they're like, oh, of course. Assuming that he wasn't serious when he said that. But he was stone cold serious about not doing his shtick. And he did not do it. And it was not in the film.
Or did he do his shtick a lot and they didn't use any of that?
That is also the other, if you are going to go with...
You know, because that wouldn't be like faithful to the material that they're basing this movie off. Because in the games, Roland is like a very serious soldier, down to business, just it's kind of just the soldier stereotype.
Right.
So they went, hey, you know that tall, very serious man with a deep voice and good with the guns. Let's get a famously short, loud, brash man
with a higher pitched voice.
With a higher pitched voice, famously, and let's have him just try to play that.
And who knows what the true, like, yes, you're right. It could have been that he did do all his Kevin Hart stuff and they simply just edited it all out because they were afraid of the backlash that it might receive amongst Border fans.
Yes. Is that what they're called? I hope so. Shit.
I've coined that.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I've coined that.
There were already, I guess, kind of, it's not really backlash, but there were test screenings that were received very negatively back in November of 2022.
Yeah.
So
it is now past mid 2024.
It's almost 2 years later when this has come out. And which means they've been working on this movie for that long. It must be good.
There's a lot. There's a lot more to this bad film than meets the eye.
Yeah.
There really is. It's like I had to dive deep to try. I just wanted to understand it.
Right.
I wanted to understand because it didn't add up to me as I was watching it.
It really had you walking away with some questions like, oh, what more could I know about that character? Or, what the fuck is going on?
How did this atrocity happen, basically?
Yes.
And, it looks like a lot of things did happen.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I'm just reading Reddits and stuff. No one on the actual film has really come out and verified and said. But for instance, Eli Roth, the director,
mm-hmm.
Who is conspicuous by his absence from any kind of promotional material.
Yeah, he was too busy for the reshoots.
Yeah,
yeah,
too busy
working on a different movie. Have you heard of the movie Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. He was working on that.
Yeah.
Too busy for the reshoots of this. He gave that to a different director.
Which again sets off kind of alarm bells on like, well, really? He couldn't make time for this, this like kind of marquee film, the biggest of his career, or not, but had the potential to be the biggest of his career.
Hey, every movie could be the biggest movie of your career.
That's true. Just got to have a positive outlook.
Yeah.
But that seems very strange.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very strange that they got Tim Miller to come in and of Deadpool fame.
Yeah.
To come in and contribute.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly, they also got Craig Mazin, who helped write both The Last of Us and Chernobyl, who has denied that he has pulled his writing credit off of this film and put it under a pseudonym to kind of remove himself completely. He has removed himself
completely.
He denies that he's trying to, I guess, still get a paycheck from it. I don't know.
Well, it's weird because they said that the script started as his script. Like he wrote the original script. Obviously, rewrites happen, but you can't help but think this is probably not what he envisaged when he wrote that original script, and then gave himself a fake pseudonym. Was it Joe Crombie? Joe Crombie?
Something like that, yeah.
Which, there's no Joe Crombie. So it is a pseudonym for someone.
Yeah.
We just don't know if it's Craig Mazin specifically. So there's a lot of conspiracies going on, but,
way more interesting than the movie.
Yeah, one thing that I read was essentially that Eli Roth showed his cut of the film, and the studio execs / Gear to Games or whatever the hell they're called. What are they called? Gearbox Games were like, no, we kind of reject everything about this. And he was like, well, fuck y'all then. I'm gonna go off and direct Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And
good luck cleaning this mess up.
and I could, from a hypothetical, I can see that.
Yep.
I can see that may well be exactly what's happened. It's also like, like Eli Roth himself, I think, is quite a good director. Has directed lots of like really either very interesting or good or both films throughout his career. And this seems the most unlike him, like as in completely devoid of his own kind of personality, that I've ever seen. Yeah. And that sets off some warning bells about why that may be.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly like, and so I mean,
I have some quotes on what he originally envisioned for this. He said, I wanted to make something totally bonkers and batshit crazy that has the insanity of The Fifth Element or Escape from New York. Did either of those movies come to mind when you were watching this?
No.
Just the word escape.
Oh, just the word insanity.
Yeah. He said something else when speaking to Deadline. He said, I've always wanted to do something like this that was just like big and fun and crazy, where you just shut off your brain, grab a bucket of popcorn, and laugh your ass off. I can tell you I did one of those three things. And what I was really disappointed was my local cinema did not have the claptrap bucket, so I didn't get to fuck my popcorn bucket as promised on the last episode.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So it's just a regular popcorn that you had to fuck.
Yeah, so just salted and buttery, but not salted buttery with Jack Black's voice. So.
I mean, it was not a good film. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
It was strange. There was stuff that was very, very like, none of it really worked.
No.
But the cast, and I know there's been a lot of criticism about this or that, but to me, I could understand how it could work with that cast.
What an ensemble.
It's not like any of them individually could necessarily do a bad job in that role that they had. Except maybe Kevin Hart. And I don't know because I don't really know Roland. But
like, even if you take out whether it has to be faithful to what it's adapting, it could be completely different. Like, it's like an alternate universe. You know, we love those at the moment. Multiverse. Whoa. Now, this is the movie version. Kevin Hart, I think, was the least offensive in that regard.
Right.
Like, he seemed like he fit into this universe and not in like a because he's shit kind of way.
Yeah.
I feel like Cate Blanchett could not do this role well, not because of her poor acting skills, but literally because of her age. Not because of how her age compares to the character in the game. In the game, this character's supposed to be like 25. And Cate Blanchett was once 25, and I don't think it was when I was alive.
Yeah.
Her movement she's just slow. So when it came to the action and she's doing a roll or she's ducking and going behind a corner to like shoot someone, like I just go, oh yeah, that's a 50-something-year-old woman that's doing that. I can see that. They can't edit around that. They can't make her more athletic. It was like in the movie The Irishman.
I didn't really see that.
Well, maybe it's a bit too relatable for you. But for me, it stands out because I think, she's lost that youthfulness. And that's not her fault. She's the age that she is.
Yeah.
But maybe use a body, like a stunt double, perhaps, to
More.
do those. But then maybe you don't want to rely on having to use visual effects to make it convince you that it's Cate Blanchett. But then later on, you see that they ran out of budget for the VFX to convince you that someone was being played by Cate Blanchett. Blanchett? Kate. So, like, I feel like in terms of the acting and whatever she did as well as she could do with the material she was given.
I agree.
A lot of that material was voiceover.
Yep.
You could tell near the beginning there was a lot of...
Damn, she did, I will say, not in her defense.
Yeah.
For direct criticism, that opening voiceover sounded very similar to Harrison Ford doing the opening voiceover in Blade Runner, where it was famous that he did not want to do it, and he sounded fucking super bored and not into it, and like hoping that they wouldn't use it, and they used it. And I just kind of got a similar vibe from the opening of this.
Yeah, well, like it was quite hard to get everyone back together for the reshoots, so I think a lot of the stuff would have been done in isolation like that. It was very much tell, don't show, which is, the number one rule of filmmaking from what I've heard.
That's right.
Like it was obvious that they were doing voiceover over scenes that had already been filmed, but not for the sake of being voiced over.
Yeah.
That's what really stood out to me. And like, I don't really pick up on that a lot of the time. Like some voiceover could just be, it was always planned to kind of just show this miming of like, and then I went down the road and some kids pointed me to go in that direction and they just have a kid pointing. But in this, you could kind of see that they were like interacting and having a conversation.
Right. Yeah.
And then they've gone, we cut this scene, let's just voice over and we'll use that as B-roll.
Yeah.
For this exposition near the beginning of the film.
Yeah. We actually talked about this on another movie that we watched here on Badaptation, or maybe a couple of them even, where I kind of talk about a movie not actually really coming together as a movie, but more just being a series of scenes. And then this happened, and then that happened, and then another thing happened, and then that all happened.
They're kind of like interwoven,
and
not sketches, but something to that effect.
But they're almost like. And this is the sad emotional part where you'll connect with the characters. So they're going to talk here sad and emotionally, and you will connect with them.
Okay.
And of course, you don't, because there's nothing behind that to make that connection. It's literally just, we expect that here. Yeah. Just like, and this is the big climax, and your spirit's going to soar as she soars into the air, because that's what happens at climaxes. And we're playing music that has a climactic feel to it.
Oh, it's epic.
And so you will feel that emotion. Yeah. And the way through the film, this is where one of the heroes sacrifices himself, and you will be emotionally invested in his sacrifice. because you've seen that many times, and this is that bit in a movie where that happens.
Yeah, it is doing that musical sting where I am supposed to shed a tear.
Yeah.
That is right, yeah.
But none of that worked. Not a single one of those kind of cues.
Yes.
Because none of it was in like kind of added up to a movie. It was all just one scene after the next after the next.
Yeah.
And none of it worked. And I think this happens with many big budget films.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's more noticeable than other times, and sometimes things gloss over it and kind of hide the fact that this is happening. But it's like, but the people are so charismatic that you kind of you are on board.
Yeah.
Or you don't care. Or you don't think about it till later on, and someone reminds you that Super Mario is not good at all.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, they've wanted you to shut off your brain and just eat some popcorn, right? Yeah. So if that was the goal, then absolutely, I nailed it. I absolutely had to shut off my brain to try and enjoy this, and it didn't work.
And it couldn't work. It couldn't work.
No, the ending of this was one of the most transparent, like, oh, how do we write the end of this movie? Well, let's look at a successful movie and just rewrite it with our characters' names in it. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's take some things from the game. What would it be called if she got superpowers? She's the Phoenix or the Scarlet Bird, whatever the fuck she was called. Sorry, like, I do not care to really go through the beats of this movie. Like,
No.
If you haven't seen the movie and you're watching this, if you really want to know the plot, go look it up on IMDb or Wikipedia.
Yeah, there's no way that we could I mean, look, Gran Turismo almost killed this podcast because we had to kind of go watch it, or we were meant to go watch it in movies.
Never got around to it.
And we just couldn't bring ourselves to do it.
Put the brakes on.
And so we really, I mean, it took an extreme amount of discipline to go see this at the cinema, to pay, good hard-earned money. And also, like, that's the thing, there's no pause button here in the cinema. Yeah, there's no respite from this onslaught of nonsense you're being bombarded with. Whereas normally when we're watching this nonsense, we're in the comfort of our own homes, we can pause, we can like go away and reflect on what the fuck we're doing with our lives.
Play it on like 2 times speed.
Like, yeah, you can casually browse Trade Me. Like, there's a lot of things to kind of save you. But nothing could save us from this. We just had to suffer through it.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a movie pretty much with only one other patron, so I could go on my phone if I wanted to. But I didn't.
Yeah, I was there with about, 15, 20 other people.
Oh, wow.
And I will say that there was not this is, and I'm sure they intended it to be like an action comedy.
Oh, absolutely.
But there was
that's kind of what the game is like portrayed as. Like, hey, this is funny, but there's lots of shooting. Like, that's something that I want to get into is the games are R18.
Yeah.
This movie is PG-13.
Yeah.
Like, due to the nature of the games, there's a lot of violence and shooting. However, due to the nature of the classification they were going for, there was no evidence of violence, either physically, such as blood and, other fluids, or emotionally, like, remorse or regret or having to kill something or someone. Death is only something we should think about in a negative light in terms of our protagonist. It's only really a risk for them or a bad thing that happens if it happens to them, which is never truly felt as a threat in this ensemble movie. Which one of them's going to die? Probably none of them. So I never have any like stakes in, oh no, Kevin Hart got piled on by all of those.
Yeah, which again, we should just mention that that like Kevin Hart is the guy that sacrifices himself for the good of the team. So you
seemingly
think,
yeah.
So you think, so you go, okay, cool, he's dead, but we didn't see him die, so he's probably not dead.
Yeah,
and sure enough, he's not dead. But also, like any great terrible film, it doesn't fucking explain how he didn't die.
He stands up. He had this tool with him given to him by Tiny Tina, and he's like, "Oh, thanks."
Yeah,
I think it emitted like a gas.
Yeah,
and killed all of them.
Okay,
but he didn't have a gas mask on or anything.
And
so I don't
he also got tackled. I don't know.
Yeah, no, he got tackled off screen by a bunch of things with weapons.
Yeah,
and then
but
it just flashes back.
The gas got them, and not him.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Yeah, that's what I think. I haven't gone back and rewatched it.
Yeah,
nor will I.
No, and again, God, it just didn't work the way it was meant to. But then him coming back also then doesn't work the way it was meant to.
Like, sure, he tried to kind of sacrifice himself. Sure, he's the most heroic one in this movie, I guess. He's the least worst. Because even Kate Blanchett is just...
Where did you sit on Claptrap?
It was as annoying as it was meant to be, I think.
I thought he did give me some chuckles.
Yes, but he also had a lot of that. If I just fill all of the empty space with my fucking...
With commentary.
Yeah, commentary, not comedy.
No, commentary.
Some of his comedy is literally just saying what he's doing.
Yeah.
It'll be like me with this can of drink in my hand going, drink, 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 drink.
Yeah.
Was that funny?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's on me.
I mean, it was...
Yeah.
It was all right.
Like, that's what's essentially that kind of humor. He also, like, he gets shot at a bunch, this little robot, and then he poos out all the bullets.
Yeah.
So there's all these cool explosions and, the sacrifice and someone's going to die and it's supposed to be this gory, blood-filled, whoa, it's chaos, and then robot's doing a poop. Is this for kids or is it for adults?
Oh, well...
I guess it's for stupid adults.
I think...
So why didn't we enjoy it?
It's good. It's great. They didn't hit their target demo. That's why.
We are stupid
They
adults.
fucking failed.
Yeah.
They just failed at their... And that's the thing. I think that all of these kind of iterations of blockbuster movies have been like a gradual bastardization of like good blockbuster movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, once upon a time, a blockbuster movie wasn't really for kids.
Mm-hmm.
It just appealed to both kids and adults because it was so good.
Yeah.
And now it's like it has to be kids. And they'll make their parents take them along to it. Yeah. They'll force their parents. The parents won't want to be there willingly.
Yeah. If we get extra ticket sales, we don't have to make as good of a film.
Yeah.
That's the sacrifice they're making.
And there's just so much of that. And even if you think about, like, spoiler alert, but like, for instance, in the original Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi just dies.
Yep.
And he's gone. And he doesn't come back.
No.
I mean, he does as a Force ghost, but like, just as a voice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sage advice.
Yeah.
But
a visualized memory.
Ultimately, he's fucking gone.
Yeah.
They just blow up a planet. The planet doesn't come back. It doesn't get wished back into existence 2 movies later when they reverse fucking Thanos' Infinity Stones or whatever the fuck they did. Okay? That planet just blew the fuck up. Millions of people died. There's stakes here. This thing is a serious weapon. Whereas here...
There are consequences to our actions and other people's actions.
And now it's just like, Kevin, don't worry, he'll be fine.
And he'll come back and do a cool entrance.
2 episodes. And like even, we'll shoot down Phoenix, Kate Blanchett.
Yep.
We'll shoot her up. We'll shoot her down. She'll just fly back up. And she'll be okay.
Yeah, the CGI version of her will. And that's no shot at the visual effects artists. I imagine they were rushed because this has just been reshot and rewritten very last minute.
Yeah.
Visual effects artists aren't bad at their jobs. They're just rushed.
Yeah.
And crunched.
And they're tasked with fixing a problem. The problem is the movie fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And they can't fix that.
No.
And they can't fix that with the particular visual effects they're tasked with that will, in theory, band-aid over that.
Yeah.
So
fix it in post.
There is, I mean, what I thought, what was the, I'm just looking through my notes here, but there was one, actually the funniest bit in the whole film to me is there's a bit with, what's the girl's name, the little girl's name?
Tiny Tina.
Tiny Tina. So she first meets Kate Blanchett's character.
Yes, Lilith.
Orange hair. Old orange hair.
Yeah.
Lilith. And she's like, you probably got a bit fucked up, like being out here. And she's like, nah, my mind is awesome. My mind is cool. And I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. The way she delivered that was like really quite good.
Yeah, saving the writing a little bit maybe.
But like, that was the only time where I was like, that felt like an organic character thing.
Yeah.
And everything else didn't.
Yeah, everything else was just her being fucking annoying, honestly. Yeah. But that's the way she was written. Nothing on the actress. It's all on the writing for the character. which was just like, you could tell it was millennials writing things that they thought were funny when they played these games back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, it's in my mouth.
It's in my mouth.
That's in the trailer.
Which is in the trailer, which is arguably, maybe him shitting his bullets is the broadest joke.
And it's also in the trailer.
Broadest joke.
It's also in the trailer.
Oh, is it in the trailer as well?
That's how I knew it was coming. I went, fuck, they're leaving this in, are they?
So those are the two like peak jokes of the entire, and I mean, I'd use that term loosely.
Oh no, attempts.
Yeah,
they were. Those were their two big punchlines.
Yeah, exactly.
What if robot poo and what if girl drink pee?
It's the two zingers.
Yeah,
the absolute zingers. Peak comedy for Borderlands.
Oh, actually, and also the mid-credits scene, which I'll get into in a bit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Peak comedy. But just in terms of the whole R18, PG-13 thing, this is one that, like, it's not specific to Borderlands, but just explosions in movies just have no, I guess, risk to them anymore. As long as you outjump the fiery blast, you're fine. They don't emit heat anymore, I guess, explosions. They're just merely very small, caged-in concussive blasts. Which, are they the opposite of Cyclops in X-Men movies, where they've mixed it up, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't... like, what's the point of having, like, there's this big explosion?
What about the fireworks at the end and the whole she's brought peace to the Borderlands thing? I had a bigger problem with that.
Well, you can tell that
Borderlands is Borderlands.
Yeah.
It's a wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of psychos.
Yep.
Like, doing all sorts of crazy shit. So how did she bring peace to the land?
Well, you see, you're in peace times when you've just gotten rid of the big antagonist.
Yeah.
Yep.
who doesn't live on that borderland either.
Yeah.
And really has very little to do with that borderland.
I completed my goal. Peace has been obtained. And I will say so.
Because I was like, okay, so why is this place like it is? Well, it's this wasteland and they're all searching for this treasure. Now, she knows where this treasure is and she's closed back up the portal to the treasure.
Yeah.
Why would that establish peace?
Oh, no, everyone would believe her when she said it's not there anymore. They wouldn't go, oh, you're just hiding it for yourself.
I mean, how's she even passing this information on to everyone?
Fireworks.
Fireworks, of course. Like, I was just like, I just couldn't wrap my mind over it. And also, I can't remember if it was her, I think she says it, she's like, I have enough.
Yes, I have something you'll never have.
Enough. That really spiraled me out. That sent me on around the cinema, that one. Because I was just like, come on now. Just come on.
Yeah. You know what you don't have? Your parents. Which you've been fucking whinging about for half this movie. Not enough, is it? She does have her foster mum, played by Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Who, just a bit of insight into how she kind of got into the character.
Yeah.
She didn't have to read the script to know that she wanted to sign on with the film. It didn't matter to her. She went to Budapest to be in a movie with Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
So she plays an old friend of Lilith's mother, and she managed to learn everything she needed to while sitting next to Christy Pitchford, who was the creator of Tannis's video game character, on the flight to Hungary. She explained that Tannis had objective sexuality and she had autism, that she was not neurotypical and that she had these interesting points of view. It helped me so much. I don't believe her. I think she watched Big Bang Theory and went, I'll be Sheldon.
Well,
yeah? She was just being fucking Sheldon. Like, oh, I don't know how, what are your facial expressions conveying to me right now? How are you a mum to this woman?
Well, I mean, she wasn't a good mum, as they establish in the...
She wouldn't have been able to fucking keep her alive with that.
To be honest,
your mouth says you're hungry, but your facial expressions, I can't fathom. What is going on?
You know what's weird too is, like, to me, her justification for taking this is a great one.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
if you told me, hey, do you want to be in a movie with Cate Blanchett? I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Your friend?
Say no more.
Yeah. I respect that.
Say no more.
See, you say nobody was being too open about why this movie is the way it is. I think that's kind of fun. Some of it.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
But it was also just like, yeah, it's one of these things where you're like, on paper, like I'm sure that kid is like, on paper, this is my big break. My life is going to be so amazing and different after this film.
Oh, the one playing Tiny Tina?
Yeah, Tiny Tina. Yeah. And, like, how can I lose? I'm acting opposite Cate Blanchett. She wouldn't steer me wrong.
I'm with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. Like,
I'm with Kevin Hart.
There's generations of amazing actors.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show, obviously I harp on, it's hard to make a good film.
Yes.
No matter the amount of resources you have.
Mm-hmm.
And even like kind of the best of everything. You've got the best actors. You've probably got an excellent cinematographer, and excellent editors, excellent screenwriters.
Yep.
You have a great director. You have all of these things, all of them. And it can still become just a total fucking absolute turd.
Yep.
And that's why movies are difficult.
Yeah. You can have all the best ingredients to make something. They don't go together, though, do they?
Just does not. But and that's, so I just think that, like, the next time you're shitting on an indie film from a local filmmaker, just fucking watch Borderlands again and apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have anything from the plot you want to talk about that that stood out?
The opening bit where Kevin Hart is introed is he's got a helmet on, so you don't know his face, and he's breathing funny. And then he pulls the mask off and he goes, "God damn that mask! I can't breathe in that thing." And it's like a comedic moment.
Yeah, it's Kevin Hart. Ripped
directly from fucking Spaceballs from like 1983.
Oh,
like
no.
the whole, like literally, like, to me that is borderline copyright infringement.
That's Borderland copyright.
Exactly. and so that just really set the tone for everything else that comes. Also, I don't know if you remember, but the first time we see the true bad guy, it's with the slow clap.
Yeah, from the darkness, from the shadows.
The slow clap.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We can't be slow clap. There's enough slow claps. Like, it wasn't meant to be funny.
No, but how else would you know he's the bad guy? There were two things I'll give it credit for. Both of them are face related.
Yeah.
So there was one where they did the hologram of the bad guy's face over, like, I guess, a body double.
Yeah.
Within the movie. And then there was another bit where later on they just had like these hologram masks. They looked really cool and was like well executed, both in movie and like VFX wise. And yeah, Kevin Hart wasn't as annoying as I thought he'd be. I just thought I'd reiterate that because I was quite surprised.
Yeah, my note was Kevin Hart contractually obligated not to be funny in this movie?
Humor's subjective.
Yep.
And it could be argued that he's contractually obligated not to be funny in a lot of movies he's in. No, I jest. I'm mixed on Kevin Hart. I think he is very funny, but I also think he's a massive douchebag. And sometimes they just take turns as to like what's more prominent. Yeah. Like you see him basically, if he's out of character, like he's on an interview or something like that, he just comes across as quite a dick, quite disrespectful. Yeah. You can tell a lot of the time he's not sober, let's say.
Yeah.
He seems very up himself.
I really dislike
not a high joke.
I really dislike his podcast.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Just because it's that typical podcast problem of, hey, I got to interrupt you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Every second I've got to interrupt you to make it about me.
Yep.
And
he loves doing that.
And I'm really going to disrupt these really compelling thoughts that people have to interject my inane bullshit.
Which is maybe sometimes just copying what you're saying, but in my voice.
Yeah.
That's a good Kevin Hartism. He very much has that like repeat your joke but louder syndrome. And yeah, he does play the same character all the time, but there's a few that do that, isn't there?
Sure.
We'll get into those in some other movies for sure. I just feel he's not a very giving performer when it comes to comedy, especially. If he hears your joke, he doesn't want to applaud you for it too often, or he's very selective about it. But if he does want to applaud you for it, he'll make sure that everyone hears him applauding you for it, but not in a way that's highlighting the other person. It's more of a like, wow, aren't I great for recognizing that joke? And also, if you missed it, here it is again, but in my voice. 1, 2, 3. Like, when there was some roasts I've seen him be a part of, if
Yeah.
someone makes a good jab at him, he'll stand up and start, that was so funny. I'm just going to stand up and walk in circles and clap.
Yeah.
So you might be joking about me, but look at me in the spotlight. Like, it's that.
Yeah.
You can just be funny and be quite like gracious when people are making jokes about you.
Most
Other comedians do it.
You can be funny and be short at the same time.
Thank you. Yeah, with all that being said, I'm quite glad he didn't Kevin Hart it up too much.
Okay.
Doesn't make me think he's a better actor or a better comedian, but it doesn't make me think he's worse.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was hoping for some more Kevin Hartisms in there.
Oh, there's a lot more if you want it. There's Die Hard.
Well,
There's Die Hard 2.
I started watching Die Hard 2, and I found it to be quite amusing.
Well, there you go. If you want more Kevin Hartisms,
At the beginning.
go watch everything he's in.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Kevin Hart, that reminds me of your favorite segment, Worst Hair. Would you say Kevin Hart, maybe Tina, is
Well,
the worst hair?
you don't see Kevin Hart's hair that often.
Well, his hat was a bit askew sometimes.
And obviously, there was Krieg,
Yeah. His hair,
which was
a
concealed
bit-
under a
a
mask.
bit non-earthly,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit out of this. Jamie Lee Curtis in the or Tannis
Yeah.
in the flashback, her hair changes color.
Well, let's not forget the sci-fi guard lady.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so who do you think out of those?
Well, I still has to be Lilith.
Yeah,
doesn't
Lilith,
it?
that was fucking horrible. What were they thinking?
It was weird.
Yeah.
The shade of orange
Mhm.
was what was probably the worst of it.
I think the shape of
The shape off the side was distracting
yeah,
in every single scene.
that cow licked too much.
Yeah, because obviously they'd all gone through some crazy things.
Yep.
You know, they've been pinballing around this crazy world, but you have this perfect out the side.
Always.
And it was weird, but to me, it was the orange that bothered me the most.
Right,
I was just like, it's just too orange. Like, no one has that shade of orange. Like, why couldn't they just top back the orange a little bit?
Yeah.
The cow lick I'm fine with. Orange, no.
This is my issue when people are like, man, they changed the outfit and they made it look weird. It doesn't look anything like the games. This is why. Because even if that looks anything like the games, it's for worse.
Yeah.
Because the game is different.
Yeah, the game is different. Movies and games are different mediums.
Yeah. Doesn't
And
translate.
especially if you're dealing with, sort of live action humans.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always, beware of what's that? Oh, shit. What's that? Dante, the dude from,
Devil May Cry.
yeah, Devil May Cry.
Ah.
Thank you.
Same like.
Yeah, God forbid someone comes with a Devil May Cry live action movie and they do his hair the same way. It's not going to be good.
No. But then if you don't do it, then it's, why isn't his hair?
Yeah,
like
why
this?
isn't Giles here standing straight up, flat top?
People
like
wanna
I
see-
demanded
People want to see
when
like,
I was 8.
yeah, Paul Phoenix in a Tekken movie. It's not going to look good. Goku. It's
Yeah.
going to look like hair just doesn't look like that.
Yes.
Whoops. Can you imagine Vegeta's hair like that?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
stupid. So, best and worst. Best for me, I'd really surprising myself here by saying Kevin Hart.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, best for me. Well, it was probably Jack Black.
Really?
Claptrap. Yep.
Mm.
Spinning around, he gave me he certainly gave me some degree of entertainment in an otherwise entertainmentless experience.
Yeah. Like some movies get, yelled at you like, why can't it just be entertainment? Why couldn't this just be entertainment? You know what I mean?
Why couldn't that?
Oh, you want movies to be good? Sometimes they could just be just something you can enjoy. Yeah, sometimes they can, can't they?
Could this have been one of those?
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Worst for me was Jack Black as Claptrap during the mid/post-credit scene where he went, "Oh look, I'm twerking."
Oh, is that what that was?
That was the bonus of like, look, you get to see a little bit more Claptrap. It's like, no, I've seen enough. And also, twerking. That's a timely reference. Good one.
Well, they did write this.
You could have
several
done
years ago.
You could have done any TikTok dance reference even. I wouldn't have liked it anymore.
Yeah.
but it probably would have been more relevant.
Yeah.
Would have dated the movie to the current year that we're in.
Yeah.
Perhaps. And maybe they didn't write it this year, but that's an animated sequence that could be revoiced. I think Jack Black's got a little bit more spare time on his hands now that he's cancelled all of his tours.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, worst for you.
Actually, worse for me, I've kind of already probably said it. I really just didn't like it, how it was a collage of scenes and not a movie.
Yeah.
But I will say that if I just could have kind of pick out like a really weird, awkward bit that made no fucking sense, and I've got a lot to choose from, but there's a bit where she's like got her comms like thing.
Yeah.
And she goes, whoops, and she accidentally drops it under the bed so she can look under the bed to see the next plot point.
Yeah, to further the plot. She's like, I'm sure there was some plot under here.
Yeah.
Oh, let me find it.
And it was so bizarre, and like it was the most like I was like, really? You couldn't have this clipped to her waist and she bumped the side of a prop or something?
Yeah.
Like there is strategic ways that this may have worked.
There could have been a trap that had a magnet on it that pulled it to it or something.
The way they filmed it was literally the worst, least believable way you could ever, it was just like, oh, Butterfingers, look at me.
Yeah, let's make this lead character who's like very proficient. She managed to John Wick some dudes in the chest bloodlessly.
Yeah.
But she, whoop. Whoopsie daisy. She's so incompetent somehow.
It was just so strange.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what in the flying fuck is this? So that'd have to be the worst point.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also, we didn't really talk about him, but we should talk about Krieg.
Should we?
Yeah, well, I just want to highlight something.
Okay.
So this guy Krieg, you told me, I didn't know he was. He's not a real actor.
I mean, hopefully he doesn't hear this.
I mean,
but yeah, he's not.
He's not
part of the ensemble. Let's say
he's like a bodybuilder that they found.
Something like that. He's been in stuff, but usually it's to be big.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
like the Mountain in Game of Thrones kind of thing. Is he an actor or is he just big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like this guy. He wears a mask all the time. He says things slowly every now and again.
Brute.
He used to be a whatever those things are.
Yeah, one of those
Psychonaut or
mascots from that's a different series. A psycho, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
shows how much proficiency we have.
He's turned good and kind of become a protector to Tiny Tina. Which actually could have been a great little story if they'd ever fucking,
Nah, he's just there.
Nah, but there's opportunities for that to be like quite an interesting emotional arc, and perhaps him to make the sacrifice where he dies too, and we may have cared. But
there's a chance.
Anyway, I just think that if you want to talk about the person with the hardest job, as the actors, there's many others that had harder jobs than the it was him.
Yeah.
Because he essentially had to stay ripped and jacked while working 14-hour days for, like, let's say 100 days in a row. And stay away from the nice catering.
And reshoots.
And yeah. So he had a real tough time of it. And he did do that.
Yeah, good on him. And his paycheck would probably reflect the opposite of that.
Certainly in terms of, he would have been paid the least out of that cast.
The child.
You think so?
Probably.
I feel
just
like
due to laws,
Maybe.
It's time for our favorite segment.
Yeah.
Don't you know? Kind of scattered these throughout the episode already, but I do have one that makes me giggle. The reason Kate Blanchett even accepted this role, it was serious lockdown madness. It was nothing I thought would ever cross my path. Something as bonkers as this. So she pretty much accepted this role while being in COVID lockdowns of just fuck it, I'll take anything. Please just let me out. And so in the meantime, she's accepted this role, started filming it, and during that, while in costume, is learning her lines for Tar.
Which, have you seen Tar?
I've got it on my
watch list.
I did want to watch it before this to kind of make a comparison of Kate Blanchett performances.
Yeah.
But there's that, which they've managed to, she's learned the lines, acted it all out, they've edited the movie together, put it out, and then this movie was still in post-production.
Yeah. I'm not sure she was either won an Oscar or was at least nominated for an Oscar for it.
Yeah,
For Tar.
yeah.
And I've seen Tar. It's fantastic.
Well, there you go.
She's amazing in it.
Let's not talk about it. There's not a lot to say.
Well, it's
it was good.
It's just, yeah. And in her defense of this film, I don't think that she is in any way going through the motions.
No.
She's trying her best.
Yep.
Just maybe miscast, and the script is the real problem.
Yeah. Oh, actually, another thing, actually. Lee Winnell was originally going to direct this.
Yeah.
He was a writer on the first 3 Saw movies and all the Insidious movies. He directed Upgrade and The Invisible Man. Like, he's good. I don't know why they've gone for a lot of horror directors as the choices for this. Like, Eli Roth had a few horror movies as well under his belt. Why do that and then just make this bloodless, tasteless fucking chum to pour down your throat?
Well, you know what's weird is I saw a PG-13 movie on the plane as I was coming back here.
Mm-hmm.
And it had...
Yeah, you fly in for every episode.
yeah, I flew from Melbourne to record this.
Yeah.
It had like heaps of people getting shot and then being blood.
Yep.
And blood, and I was like, wait a sec. If this is PG-13, why can't we just register gunshots in all PG-13 movies then?
Was the blood red?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, they got away with it.
It's just, yeah, it was a bit strange.
I think it's a weird lesson to go, we can have the violence, but not the consequences of the violence.
Yeah.
Because what lesson is that teaching people watching it? That violence is okay because nothing will happen.
Yeah.
So if I hit someone with a hammer, don't worry. They'll just scream in pain for a bit, but they'll be all right. Blood won't spurt out of them. Their bones won't break. It's fine. If I shoot someone, they'll just fall.
Fall out of frame.
Yeah. And, don't do anything sexual at all.
Definitely, yeah. Another no sex movie. This one,
yeah.
Sex doesn't exist in these new worlds.
Apparently, I've seen things about that's kind of more of a trend nowadays. Just less sex in films.
Yes, it's very disappointing to me as a sex fiend. But also just as a look. If you're lucky, you're going to grow up and have sex one day. So these should be part of our stories.
Yeah.
That doesn't, people don't have to be going hell for leather in the Borderlands movie, but...
there was no romance.
Yeah.
Even. I'm glad they didn't include a romance
just
plot
for the sake of it.
To have one to, appeal to the 4 quadrants and, let's get girls to watch this.
Yeah.
That's their idea of what romance is about, not mine. But, yeah, I'm glad they didn't do it. Because I'm not a girl. How successful was this movie? We say was. How successful is this movie?
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest bombs of all time,
yep.
is a clickbaity headline I've read.
Mm-hmm.
It did have a $120 million budget, including the reshoots, which I believe it's got to be way more than that.
Yeah.
Especially with all the marketing I'm seeing. They're still going. Some of the marketing is... they found a tweet saying a nice thing about the movie, and then they made their own tweet about it, their own graphic of look what people are saying.
Wow.
Look what this one guy who attended the premiere, so was clearly a fan of the product, look what he thought about this movie. And the CEO of Gearbox Games, one who helped create Borderlands from the get-go, is just out there responding to every single tweet about this, being like, oh, did you see the movie? What were your thoughts on it? Why do you think it should have had an R rating? What would that have added to it? Oh, what? Hey, you can't be saying that. That's a very mean thing to say. Hey, have you seen this movie? Hey, what do you think? He keeps repeating himself. It's the scribblings of a madman on Twitter. Can you imagine? and to try and save face, one, they're going, hey, Borderlands 2 was good, wasn't it? And finally, maybe Borderlands 4 is coming out. We haven't announced anything, but we're whispering about it a little bit louder now. So please go and see this movie. It's available on IMAX.
Yeah.
What a fucking waste of money that is.
Oh, I would certainly do not recommend seeing this. Yeah. God, the CGI in it is so bad.
For that budget.
Well, and
for the amount of time they had to write this movie.
That's the weird part, because you do see scenes where sort of all the production designs come together. They're clearly in at least a significant real area that they've built and created, and it does look good.
Yeah. And then you've interspersed that with Tiny Tina shooting a very bad CGI looking rocket from in front of a green screen at a weird angle.
Yeah. Man, there was one where she was up on top of that truck.
That's the one.
And you look up at her and the perspective is all fucked up.
Yep.
And it just looks so bad.
Yeah. That was one that was like, ugh.
Yeah, like this is hurting my eyes.
Yeah.
For my imagination to try and put this person in the place that they have put her on top of this thing.
Yeah.
And I am really battling. My mind wants to just reject this and walk straight out of the cinema, but certainly just stop believing.
Yeah, and again, that's not the VFX artist. That's, quickly, let's redo this. Can you fix it? Can you fix it in post? Fix it in post?
Oh, the angle doesn't work.
I can only do so much.
Just put something behind her.
Yeah.
But she's not really
Just cut quickly. You'll be right.
3 layers. 3 layers in After Effects. Don't worry about it.
About a month before this movie was released, I sent you there was some news before the embargoes were lifted saying Borderlands movie early reactions call the film terrible and unfunny. Fucking bang on the mark. Review embargoes were lifted the day before the movie's release. Embargoes, for those who don't know, are a restriction of the publication of reviews. And the closer it is to the movie's release, the worse they think the reviews are going to be, is the experience. Like if they wanted the embargo to be lifted a month in advance, people who had seen like preview screenings or whatever, they'd want them to kind of just honestly talk about how good the movie was because they know that they're going to do that because they believe in the product.
Yes.
Whereas this was the only good reviews I've seen. Only good reviews are people who are huge fans of Borderlands and just have their fucking blinders on.
Yeah.
People who were paid to, or who got like a paid trip to go to the screenings.
Yeah.
People who are such big fans and really good at cosplay, so much so that they are in this movie. A few cosplayers in the movie. Good on them. Great. Doesn't make the movie any better though.
No.
Stop lying. Like that's the only positivity I've seen. Everyone else has just gone, nah, CGI slop, mess, bad, don't see, awful, worst movie. And Deadpool and Wolverine's out, which is, if you want to see good version of CGI slop messy, go see that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, look, I mean, I can't help but you drop the name.
Yeah. Deadpool,
say his name.
Yes, Deadpool.
He will appear.
Oh, here he is.
And then by that I mean criticism of the film. Say his name and we will criticize it.
Yeah.
So Deadpool and Wolverine is actually very similar to this film.
They say the word Borderlands in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. That's what I noticed.
And the real difference between this and Deadpool and Wolverine is the core cast works.
Yes.
And the core cast is so, like the charisma of those two people, Deadpool and Wolverine, works so well that you gloss over every single problem. And there are many.
Oh, I don't.
Well, me neither.
They would like you to.
But most people.
It's easier to.
It's much easier to.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like they saw the formula of sort of many of the successful Marvel films and Deadpool and Wolverine, you know, even to a higher degree. That was the formula they were shooting for.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that core element.
I think if you were to track like on a chart somehow of the emotions you're supposed to feel, where the highs are into the duration of the movie, if you were to track those for both of these films, they'd almost be exactly the same. Like, you have an action sequence to start it off, get you a bit excited, and then, oh no, that's actually leading into this bad thing that's going to happen, and oh, there's this emotional low because they've lost some, whatever. You know, you keep going through, and then, you have an action sequence here, and then, oh no, someone's at risk of something bad happening.
Here's a little bit of comedic relief.
Yeah. It's that, but it's all working a lot better in
Yes.
Deadpool and Wolverine. But the story beats are the same.
Very, very similar.
Yeah.
And, you know, I also think, and it's genius, but it's also disturbing. Part of, I think, what's so appealing about Deadpool and Wolverine is obviously that inherent appeal of those two stars put together.
Yes.
And actually the fucking marketing campaign that they have put around the film has been far more than any other film in recent memory.
Relentless.
But in every single one of these things, it kind of reaffirms your feelings about those actors. Like, oh, Hugh Jackman is such a treasure, such a gem, such a lovely guy. We just love him. Oh, Ryan Reynolds is just so funny, so self-deprecating. It's just so hilarious the way he kind of is willing to poke fun and laugh at himself. Oh, these two together. Oh, the banter on display. That you can clearly tell that they really like each other, but it's just so funny. And that just over and over again in all these different environments. But it's a very clever tool because it makes you think those things and then go into the movie with that mindset of not to, hey, don't think about it. Just relax and just enjoy all this with your two favorite people that you've seen.
Your friends.
Be these things.
Yeah.
They're still these things to you.
Yeah.
So
they're relatable now.
Don't question.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the plot.
Yeah.
Don't think about any of these set pieces and what relevance they actually have.
What could they mean? Don't worry about it.
Just sit back and be fed this. Just open your mouth wide and take it. Take it all.
Yeah. Oh, you want some more?
You love it.
Yeah. You love this.
You love it. So it is.
Look. We've got a Jennifer Garner. Oh, here she is. Oh, Wesley Snipes. Look at him. Look at them. You love this. Put it in your mouth. Oh, look, Channing Tatum. He's doing another cameo. And he talks funny. Hope that works for us. Whoa.
Yeah, and so...
Hey, do they need to be in this? It could have been anyone.
Yeah, do any of them really, have a point to being in this? No, not really, but...
No, we needed 2 minutes of runtime.
But
so
it was
made them
funny,
go in slow
right?
motion.
It was funny, right? It was fan service, right?
Yes.
And...
Fan service works if you are a big fan. Yeah. So all the fan service parts of Borderlands, I didn't give a shit. Went over my head.
Yeah.
And I just went, wow, that sucked.
Also,
that was a reference. I can tell because you paused, probably for me to go, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine was, you could have halved the runtime if they took out all those pauses for you to go, oh, I know that.
And also, like, for instance, like the Channing Tatum thing, for example.
Yeah. And I really liked his performance.
And I thought he would make a great Gambit, right? However, this is literally such a deep cut to the average Joe fucking schmo on the street. Like, it's such a deep cut. We're saying that fans of this film have to read fucking The Hollywood Reporter and Variety and know what films get cancelled in their genesis period a decade ago.
Yeah, you have to know the casting choices. But at the same time, Channing Tatum's performance makes up for it. Because, like, if you didn't know any of that, which person I went to go and see this movie with, they didn't know. Yeah. They still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They didn't know who Wesley Snipes was.
Yeah.
They went, oh, that's probably something.
Yeah.
That was fine.
Yeah. And it's all fine because it's all just washing over you.
Yeah.
And everything is great. You didn't read Hollywood Reporter.
You don't need to know who this is. You'll love it anyway.
Well, it's Gambit. It's
Drink it up.
It's the stripper guy as Gambit.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, that's all you need to know.
His name, Jeff. Whoa.
Yeah, so there was a lot of that. One of these films worked, at least from a pure entertainment spectacle, and one of them fundamentally didn't.
They were both just like dangling keys in front of you, but one of them just knew how to do it so much better. Yeah. One of them had plastic ones, one of them had metal ones. It's probably the best analogy I can come up with there.
And for anyone in the fucking comments, for the two people in the fucking comments that are going to at us and be like, oh, you just need to, you can't you just enjoy things? Can't you just enjoy, like, it's entertainment, man. Doesn't it have to be fucking more than that? You fucking, yes, it has to be more than that.
Yep.
Because
or it doesn't, but don't expect me to point it out as being anything more than that.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it can just be that.
And also, we're hating on it for fun. Can't you just let us enjoy that? Can't I just be fueled by hate and just get on with my day?
Yeah, can't we just take down things that are just pure entertainment?
Yeah.
For our entertainment?
Oh, I'm sorry for critiquing your art.
Well, I mean, that's the weird thing, because ultimately this, can't something just be entertaining, is essentially saying can't we not have critics? Can we not have critics for this movie, please?
Yeah, can you only enjoy this? And if you didn't enjoy it, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Because ultimately, my big issue with it is just that blockbusters and films of this ilk used to do both.
Yeah.
And now they don't. And we say, well, but can't we just, it's just entertainment. Don't be such a dickhead. And so they only be entertainment.
Yeah.
And therefore, if not us to speak out,
then whomst?
So we have to see movies get even better. So you can see Deadpool and Wolverine 2.
And we'll go and see Borderlands.
and actually incorporate a story to match the charisma of the characters and actors.
Or that movie made $1 billion.
And so they won't really regard
and will,
our opinion.
Yeah, fuck us, right? And we bought tickets.
Well,
so
we've contributed, of course.
We are the problem.
Yep.
Absolutely. I can be part of the problem and complain about the problem.
Yeah. Well, just look, I support the in principle. I support Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up. Now I'd just like to see them in a story that made sense.
I hate to break it to you, mate. It was actually actors portraying those characters that were teaming up.
Well, yeah, those actors then in a story.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. So we obviously loved Deadpool and Wolverine. Look at us, target audience.
I can't help but stop talking about it in this review of Borderlands. Yeah.
And we obviously enjoyed Borderlands. In fact, we both give it a 10.
Yeah.
But, Guy, what would you give this a 10 out of?
6,800.
That's very specific, thank you. But I'm going to have to give this a 150, which is just one less than I gave Dynasty Warriors.
So 10 out of 150.
10 out of 150. So I do have some recommendations that are slightly related to what it is we do. The first would be related to the last episode we did on Gran Turismo. So the channel Nerdstalgic just really well timed with their release of the video, The Inevitable Downfall of Neil Blomkamp Movies. So he was the director of Gran Turismo.
We did discuss that.
Yeah. So he has a pretty good video describing that. And I thought just for fun, because Kevin Hart was so not annoying, there's an interview he did with The Rock, which makes both of them come off as a lot more endearing, actually funny.
Interesting.
Kevin Hart is very giving when it comes to performers that are above him in his social hierarchy. Yeah, above him, and that because if he gives them something, then they'll maybe give him something back.
Or maybe give him a role in Jumanji 2
and 3 probably. I think they've been in like 6 or 7 films together.
Yeah,
including DC League of Super Pets. I think this is what this interview's for.
Okay.
So yeah, bit of fun. The Rock and Kevin Hart, who I famously love, both actually being entertaining. So that's pretty good.
Okay, so my recommendation, if you want to see a sort of more succinct review of Borderlands, I recommend Moist Critical's review of Borderlands, which he's just posted on his YouTube channel.
Right.
Which he does the first part where he watches, he does a follow up with some additional hate. He's not happy about it, but it's very entertaining.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's what people think about this too. But now, time to spin the wheel.
Well, we've missed out on spinning the wheel.
We have
2 times over.
It's been months. Should we just
wait?
wait?
Many months.
Should we just wait?
We
for the
should
next
just
one?
keep picking terrible films. Well, what I'm excited about is that we won't have to go see whatever this is in the cinema.
Oh, it's not going to land on Sonic 3
out
in December.
We'll have some respite regardless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it's anything but a Resident Evil movie, and it's the Angry Birds movie.
Interesting.
I've seen this, and I'm
not happy.
Excited to see it again.
Well, I haven't, so this will be interesting. You play the games?
Oh yeah, who hasn't? Who didn't have the first versions of the iPod?
Yeah, didn't he ban the game and then unban it?
I think you're thinking of Flappy Bird.
Ah.
The movie for that's coming out in 2025. Right, for more insight like that, You can check us out on the next episode. But before you do that, if you like what we do, please consider following us using the links in the show notes or description, and leave good reviews if you want. It means a lot, and it means our little project can grow.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
With a couple of angry birds.